those classes that state classes or just other classes that we could hold, we could charge and make some money off of. Those containers, just a container alone for roughly $4,000. I'm just asking for permission.
You want to steal? That's a steal?
Yes.
It's a Connex box. No, I know where they are. But you have to have a steel one. I think you have to have a 40-footer.
40-footer.
That's what size is the dimension 40 bucks.
It's 8 foot wide, 40 foot long, and 8.5 feet tall.
You just want just the can?
Well, we'd like a container, and then possibly putting maybe a 20-footer on top of that.
We gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, we gotta start
One
somewhere.
to crawl on, to throw stuff on, to beat on is a good start.
You planning on burning in this?
Well, we
Or
talked
just
about
search
that.
We have to find out in town where it should be, and if the neighbors be, I mean, temple that. Neighbor smoke, fine, because it's not a health hazard. If you want to burn and let the house in there, it's going to change the game a little bit, and you got to see how the neighbors in the town feels about it.
Would you say it was a
People
box
usually never worry about the fake smoke. Anyway, anybody can keep us warm.
Well, I would work on it because I'm pretty good at being Mr. Sanford and Son and finding free stuff, but
We actually think he's suspicious there's some spare ones at River Road that are not earmarked. We asked directly. Right. It'll be about hauling them. Can't get that off.
I
Millers does that.
Yeah, I'm just bringing this before the fire board because I got a trailer before Atlanta, the town of Atlanta, to see if we can even put one there. The other thing too is, I mean, we could paint it so it looks aesthetically correct and it's not ugly looking, you know. But it's not a permanent structure.
It's kind of like, falls under like a mini barn. Wouldn't it be kind of like a temporary structure?
Those are ordinances as far as some structure like this. Well, and the problem, that's what I was gonna say, is it have to be there.
It has to be a permit.
We put it somewhere else. Somewhere. All right. The most classic sites for firefighter training is at wastewater plants. I've trained many times under the owner. You got room out there? Ours don't smell. Oh, even better. But you're not gonna have water out there, really. What I was thinking about was the water plant. Because it's got fire hydrants there. Wouldn't smell it. Yeah, our certainly no houses around, except Frost Road tracks for the distance between the closest houses would probably. Well, but the other thing you fall into is the water plants outside of town limits too. It's in the county.
Yeah, but that's under your building jurisdiction.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just saying it's less.
You basically wouldn't have a resident.
Listen, here's all I'm telling you is about a block away from our fire station, I already know two people that are going to bitch. Quite a lot about it.
I ain't gonna bitch that much, Andy. I mean, want me a break.
Yeah. Other direction. I was just sitting there thinking the other direction.
Well, and even the theater smoke, like you mentioned, I mean, or putting just a little burn barrel in there, not aligning it like what we normally would when we do live fireworks. Just, you know, I know from, this would be an excellent training opportunity for us up there, and kind of take the lead.
Well, that's what I was just thinking of the water plant too. I mean, you can build about anything you want.
Here's the thing, this is going to help us dry us rating.
There's more room. It's not far from the fire station. There's a hydrant there. You know.
Yeah. This is going to be good to dry us rating as far as training. I think it will more out some. So I just throwing it out there. I would ask them, well, what would be the next step in this?
I think it's something that needs to be researched. I mean,
You know, I have to look it up because see, I bought one before. I used to have a storage container. And there's a place, I'll have to look for it, but there's a place.
There's many mobile in Indy where we always bought ours.
Yeah, it's cheaper to have a place in Northern. I rented both of them, and then I bought my own. But there's a place in Northern Indiana, I'll look it up, but you can get a 40-foot steel can for about $2,200 to $2,800, depending on the condition.
I wonder if they're looking for a tax write-off. Donate them to the volunteers. Volunteers that rise off.
And they've got all the sizes. I mean, they've got.
They
associated with the training program, like something like that, or
What about if stuff still in with it, like if you want to get a sport container, wanted to get build obstacles or.
We would have.
George retired anyways.
Yeah,
His son's doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'm sure that there's
Son,
something
actually.
training facility that we could borrow and get.
We borrowed a carnival smoke machine when we smoked the house up at Dex.
But there was, it's discussed, why don't we go ahead and look into it a little bit more? I don't particularly have a problem with it, but it's, I think a good comment was made by Jeff that if some company may want to donate it to the fire department for a tax write-off, we can look into that, and then possibility of where Andy said the money cheaper.
We got a roof prop underneath over the trustee's office where we get that out of there. We get rid of it, just put one on this, or actually put it on top of it. And we can consolidate stuff that we have wherever it can go, and put one on top of the other. We're not looking at building a training facility, we're looking at having a prop. I think it's worth much research.
The county to pay for it.
Yeah. Sure.
I think that's all. That comments?
I'll bring that up at the land council meeting and see, Andy will be there also, so he can explain his concerns and stuff are.
I like the idea though of your water plant. I think it's better, I mean, you got plenty of room up there too.
Yeah, and I've got room that's not far. I'm just thinking about this either behind or the side of our old water plant. It's not too far off the drive, it's not too far from the fire hydrant. And, I mean, if they want to, you know, it's just, I think it'd be a good area. I mean, it would be, if you want to do some live burns out there, you know,
Is there parking, enough parking down there?
oh yeah, okay.
It's got a gravel drive.
About 5 acres there, you know, there's plenty, our well field's real big. We mow the whole thing, except for the tree line, but there's good there. The access is good. I widened the entrance into that thing and took the steepness off of it. It's not the way it used to be, so you can get fire trucks in and out easy and things like that.
Last thing I have is this is going to require some discussion for the township level, because there's questions I have and I'm not quite sure, but essentially the ambulance that we currently have is under a tax rate.
Right.
That tax rate is over in December. And it's going to be, we need to know in the planning phase if we're going to maintain and continue that tax rate by replacing the current old ambulance that is in station at 56. Because for us, the planning phase, we need to be able to spec, put out the bid, and that takes time. This is a very busy year for us. We're hiring, we're recruiting. I'm hoping to get the ISO training completed this year. So we've got some, at our level, some big projects, plus taking care of the fire department, regular stuff. But that is something that, if we're going to use that tax rate, then we need to plan it. We need to get the ball rolling.
I agree.
Okay.
Can we secure that tax rate at once?
I have to leave that to you guys, but here's what I'm telling you, if we can continue to use that tax rate, use that tax rate, doesn't that much.
But does that have to be approved by DLGF to continue that tax rate, or is it once it's paid off, it's no longer available?
No, they usually, your tax rate goes for 5 years, usually, and at the end of that 5 years, that tax rate goes away. But if you replace that tax rate with another tax rate
Before it expires?
well, at the same time it expires. It expires and then the new one will pick up.
Okay.
So your taxpayers won't notice a difference in their tax rate. They won't feel that bump in the road on their taxes. Most departments, I don't know about you guys, most departments revolve in like 5-year tax rates on that stuff. The light ambulance paid off in 5 years. Some departments buy an ambulance every year, and they got 5 ambulances, and every 5 years they replace their ambulance. That the 80 ambulance, you know that ambulance. That's how the state wants us to do it. When I talked to Judy at the, our local representative, you know what I'm talking about. I had it set up to, she wants to know by a certain date if we're gonna do something, and approximately how much it's gonna be, so they get the paperwork started. So I would say if we're interested in doing that, I'd recommend it actually, my part, because I know what we mostly do is EMS, and ambulance 56 is not gonna last much longer. Just on its last this week.
It was out
And
there.
let's move on with that strategy.
Donna Hines.
Yeah,
And this
so,
nothing affects our budget or anything, I mean,
No.
it's a separate tax rate.
it's a separate tax rate that will not affect your budget at all.
It's already in place right now for the.
We're in
so
conscious
there ain't
support
gonna
of
be
this
any-
decision.
So,
Yeah.
but it ain't gonna be, there's not gonna be any increase or anything in anybody's taxes, basically this tax rate's gonna go away with
But
that
understand-
bang, and there's gonna be the new.
Right, but understand this, if you lose it, more than likely the school's gonna go after it.
Yes.
Other sharks have a chance at that bait.
Yes.
Currently, that tax rate is a township tax rate. The town of Atlanta and Arcadia do not have that tax rate. Because that ambulance was bought by the township before the territory was created. So, but folks, we're talking $5 on your property taxes. It's not a huge, as a matter of fact, Atlanta and Arcadia maybe $3 to $5 increase on their property. It's not even a bump in the road, is what I'm saying. We bought an engine and a tanker in 1 year, got 2 tax rates, and I think my taxes went up $8.
Now, with that being said, are you saying that when this tax rate is under the township, we wanna apply for this under the territory's name this time, and?
Well, yeah, it would be under the territory, now, sure, it'd be on the,
So will that put
budget
it
of
up,
the township.
will that put it up for grabs for anybody else to be grabbing at it too, or to, we're changing from the township actually having possession of this tax rate going to the territory tax rate?
It's gonna expire anyway.
it's gonna expire anyway, yeah. That tax rate's gonna expire. When that tax rate is done, it's done. Matter of fact, we lost the tax rate, township lost tax rate last year for the tanker. We paid the tanker off last year, so we lost that tax rate. And next year, we're losing the tax rate for the ambulance and our engine. They will be paid off, lock, stock, and barrel will own them 100%. So we're losing 2 tax rates next year.
I just asked, I thought, because in my notes I have the ambulance, the 2016 and the engine 2017.
If it is the engine 2017, it's the first quarter of 2017.
It's quick.
It's quick. It's not like all year. We bought this ambulance and the engine about the same time, within 6 months of each other. Now, the tax rates may be separated by 6 months. That one may carry into 2017, you're right. But, and I don't know, I'd have to actually look at it. But both of those tax rates are gonna go away. And what he did say about the schools fight for every dime they can get. Matter of fact, they're trying to get more money right now.
Right now, is pretty much our only option for replacing equipment, since we don't have the budget to have a replacement.
Well, that's actually the way the state wants you to do it. They want you to get a tax rate for equipment.
Yeah, and we got that in place, I think.
Well, let's pursue that now.
Just to stay with it if we,
So we'll work on getting the specs.
Well, do we wanna talk about a tanker too?
No, because that's not our,
I'm just throwing it out there. We're gonna lose 2 tax rates. And I know you talked about trying for a grant for a tanker at one time. Is there anything else we would need a tax rate for? Would we need a brush truck that's $80,000? $100,000, whatever.
it's still cheap.
What I'm saying is, we got 2 tax rates that are gonna expire. Here's our opportunity
To do it.
to continue those and get some new equipment, and it's not gonna affect our budget one drop. Because that is completely different. Tax rates for equipment is not affected by your budget.
I would say we need to, basically the ambulance.
You guys ready for that?
Can that not be funded into a building when those apparatus are not?
Do what now?
If we wanted to make an improvement to the Arcadia station, or the living side of things, I mean, we got, I don't know how much this roof cost now, it's gonna be funded. Our plan was last year, half of the construction. This is one of those non-revolving costs, okay? We about $20,000 in 400 buildings. We spent that, plus the township put in some pretty good chunk of money to get half of the Arcadia station construction done. Wall, kitchen, office. We got to stop right there. Tile stops. With the intent that coming into 15, we would use that money, that $20,000 in that. Come back and finish the rest of it, which would be the TV room and sleeping quarters, okay? That's what the intent was as we were doing. In 2 years, we would have the living side of the fire station.
Just a little more.
Have you guys got any quotes on what you'd like to do to finish that project?
Well, again,
While we have this ball rolling?
to build upon, yeah, if we keep the same tax rate that you have for the engine, that can be used for the tanker and fire station. Is that way you're not losing?
Okay, I'm thinking.
Minor amount.
That's a minor amount, we're talking chump change here. If we wanted to do a major remodel or addition to our current facility in Arcadia, most likely we would want to do a bond. And you could put a lot of things in that bond, and that bond can range anywhere from 8 to 15 years.
Well,
Looking at building maintenance.
not to get, too far ahead, and just,
Another minor.
I'm not looking to put more burden on the residents by any means, but here's the thing. We're getting ready to move our office into a 10 by 8 bedroom. And those guys at 55s are now losing a second bedroom. So, I mean, we have no office, we have nowhere for the guys to actually go sit and train. So, that's why if the tax rate for the engine can remain the same, because I'm sure it was at $200,000-$300,000 when you got it then.
165, I think it was.
That engine?
Yeah, see, we put on almost $100,000 cash on it. We had a bunch of money in Cuban Fire that we put it down. We bought the chassis and everything, we had cash for it. I think that engine total was $265,000, completely done. And we bought the chassis and paid cash for it. I drove back from Michigan.
Well, your addition alone would be over 100. And the grass truck that we looked at was, I think it was like 118, 120.
So like a turret on the front and all that.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, well, I would recommend that we have these guys put together, formulate some sort of plan on what they want to do as far as.
You don't need to replace the ambulance. Let's go ahead and make a motion to move forward with the ambulance and then.
Okay, let's do that.
Plan together for the other.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the chiefs explore, putting the specs together for a new ambulance and get us quotes for a new ambulance, to replace ambulance 56, so that we can purchase it next year and get a tax rate for it.
Okay,
Just a second.
it's been approved.
Okay, I also will make a motion that we allow the fire chiefs to, create a plan for the remodel of the Arcadia Fire Station, and come to us with a budget proposal on completion of that with list of specifications that they want to do.
Second.
Was that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll approve that too as well.
We'll also get, if it's all right, in that a price for the grass truck.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Specs for a grass truck, we want to replace those with tax rates.
Okay, Chief, what else you got?
I know it's been a while since we had a meeting, hopefully we got a lot of business.
There's lots that we'll do, we'll come up with some dates in the next meeting, but right now I want to talk about two things. One is the EMS fund.
Okay.
I wanted our goal contact the attorney about the explanation of the EMS fund. Now, I know for years it was under the township ran the fire department. I can understand why they're getting the EMS funds. Now that the territory, we're making the runs, and we're expending our funds, our vehicles, it should be our money. And this one, we're not jumping to the hoops trying to find money to buy new equipment, to replacement equipment, to training, whatever the case may be.
Okay, you mentioned that to me, and I inquired a little bit about that with the trustee, and she asked about that once before, and the answer she got was that, the territory couldn't have an EMS fund, that the state wouldn't allow it. So we need to research that some more and find out exactly what they're talking about. I don't know if it's a legal thing, if those funds have to be under the township. I understand that the existing fund is a township fund, because we always had that fund. We ran the EMS part of it with that. But I think there may be a state statute, and we need to determine if that state statute allows us to have it to begin with.
Because it's a territory.
once again, we're back to that, to quasi type of entity type thing, you know, we're not this government, we're not that government, we're kind of in the middle. So I think that's something that needs to be researched. Yeah, the attorney would Jeff Lawson.
I would offer a few cheaper options before we go down that road, because ultimately that's going to be what we need.
Yeah.
But I can network with other Indiana fire territories to find out how theirs were established and how they could be
Okay,
different than a state board of accounts would be.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to find out.
So state board of accounts would be a good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we would match up the same as the town of Brownsburg, because we're simply not a town as a provider yet.
go to territory should say.
Exactly, because the township is providing, I would start with the Clay Fire Territory, because the Clay Township trustee, Clay Township is their provider. Because part of that is you gotta make sure you're apples to apples, you know, in Greenfield Fire Territory, the city of Greenfield is the providing unit. So I could call town, I could call city, I'd start with the township,
Yeah.
because we're different, township is different, we get it, it's resolutions versus ordinance, you know, I want to make it, so I can do that, but the state board of accounts, yeah, I guess, don't they drum ball, it doesn't matter what Chief Sean was talking about in Clay.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know they run ambulance service, that's the other thing, they generate revenue.
Okay, the second thing is that, we need to start thinking budget time. And, Jeff has offered his expertise on the budget, Chief, if you, so we can help, but,
Yeah,
budget like this year.
From John to also, include, Robin with us, making up the plan, because she's been helpful to me, she's educated me, and a lot of stuff. I've got questions, that would be helpful for us, because if we're not talking about 16 unit, we've got problems.
Well, I tell you what, we need, as far as on the township side, we've got to have your budget approved, ready to go on our budget beforehand, so you guys are actually a couple months before us.
June.
I'd say mid-May, we need to have a rough draft. The township board does these rough draft of what the fire territory would like in a budget. And find out how much we can actually afford and what we can put in a budget. There's gonna be some changes as far as the amount of revenue we get, with the lack of loss of the White River contract and that sort of thing. So that's gonna affect our budget a little bit too, so we need to start thinking about that. I think too, the chiefs need to start putting together a wish list of items for next year. And, obviously, you've talked about a lot of them already. But that is something that's gonna have to be done, because the township usually does their budget in September.
Yeah.
And with everybody's vacations and this and that, June is not good for me, I know that, and I know you do a lot of camping and stuff too. So, I would say a goal of the middle of May to try to have a rough draft.
Case. Does that good?
We'll work on it.
And I agree with John, you know, we get Robin there to help out, that's fine too.
I will tentatively say that won't be a problem, but I will verify that with her. I'm sure she doesn't have a problem with it. And she's very knowledgeable on numbers
Okay.
and budgets, that thing.
I just want to get a good budget that we can work on and understand we have to own that budget and do with that budget, you know, if we have X amount of dollars in there, we need, you know, we don't have the money, we can't be looking at this always, now's the time to put everything together at this point.
Now, let me say this, if we do decide to buy a new ambulance or a grass truck, there's things that if you need that we can't necessarily afford in our budget, that would be the time to roll that into that tax rate. If you need some more hose, or you need a thermal imaging camera, or the state doesn't know that you normally don't use a thermal imaging camera on a grass truck. But, yeah, they don't look at the specs.
But it's gotta be something we can maintain.
Yeah.
Whatever we get, we gotta be able to maintain it moving forward.
So,
Is it fair to assume, because typically, the state gives you a 3% increase in your budget.
right now, it's 2.6% is what they're saying. And I think
That's not true.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I just tell you what, for 6 years, it's supposed to be true.
Well, I can tell you this, for 6 years in a row, Atlanta's budget went until this year. This is the first increase we've had in 6 years.
I understand that for Atlanta, I'm just saying from my experience, being a fire chief, it's always been all roughly 3% every year.
per town.
And we can, basically anticipating the 3% increase.
I think
You submit a DLGS will tell you she's whether you're gonna get it or not, and you would have to.
That's the easiest thing to do. The state soon will be telling clerks and trustees basically how much you're getting.
Sure.
And you know what, I wish they would have done that to begin with. It would have made their job a lot easier.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And then you take that number and
You gotta submit it, reject it,
Yeah,
they tell you
fit,
what
you
you're
know?
gonna get, and then you gotta turn around and cut everything back to fit underneath their,
I'd say one thing else we're gonna need from you guys too is projected revenue coming in. How, you guys really need to track the numbers for how much we're collecting on our transports to get an idea of what we can put in, because that's really gonna affect how much we get. Plus, are we gonna have anybody talk to White River about revisiting that contract?
Well, we're going to, the thing is, that is our plans, but there's a time sensitive effect into it. I think it's too soon at this point to go.
I don't think you're gonna get any movement out of Jamie for another year.
Well, let me throw this out. Sometimes you gotta kill them with kindness. It just
Yeah,
happens.
that's right.
Tomorrow night is the White River Township's fish fry.
Right.
And it's a dance fish fry. It's from 4 to 7 at their fire station. The Mega Christian Church provides all the pie and cake for dessert. It's a big fundraiser for them. They have it every year. I try to go every year and mingle. I'm gonna try to go to that tomorrow night
Okay.
and show our support. Even sometimes it's kind of hard to chew on that, but just thought I'd throw that out there, y'all. It might be a good idea if you're not busy and you like fish. It's a good fish fry. I like the fish fry. I go to a couple of them a year. I think it's 4 to 7 is what their sign said. And we got a flyer at all our firehouses in Noblesville. I don't know if you guys got one. But they sent out a flyer with Dan's picture on it from the Dan guy.
Where?
It's at the White River Township Fire Station. It's on State Road 213. What is that, 256, 246?
It's out
256, okay. 56, yeah. But you get there early because there's usually a big crowd. I mean, I've stood outside and waited 20 minutes to get in the door before.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to cover, John? Do you have anything?
One other thing that I wanted to touch base on, I did get the email from Chris that she resigned as our secretary, or as secretary of the Fire Territory Board. And being that we don't have a secretary this time, I would like to request that we have Audra attend the meetings as a secretary for the Fire Territory Board and take minutes and that type of thing, and also for the Safety Board, because we have no one there actually taking minutes. I mean, we've got someone appointed, but this we can keep it all together and one person doing it, and do it with a laptop and automatically get it back to Chris and put it on the website. And we do have $80,000 that was appropriated in the territory budget to pay her for her time for the territory meetings and the fire safety board meetings.
I don't have a problem with what John's saying, but I think as far as secretary, you gotta nominate somebody that's on this board to be secretary. You can have her do the minutes, but she can't be the secretary.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You have a president,
Correct.
secretary, like organizations, president,
So we
secretary.
probably need to appoint secretary.
You'd be a good secretary.
Not
I'm not making you.
I'm not gonna make Jack to be the secretary, I got enough to go with, so.
No, I need to be president and secretary.
John, I know you mentioned about the $8,000 within the budget. However, in recent weeks, we've been told by the trustee that we're $7,000 short of workman's comp, and that we have to find that money somewhere within the 100 series of our
Well,
budget.
you need to look at, you guys need to look at your budget. I mean,
I'm only going by what the trustee had
I understand that if you look at that budget, you ought to bring that budget that Robin did. to
Some of
show
the
us.
numbers that we reviewed that never got any place to recess me, I wasn't given the opportunity for us to give that explanation and show what we were able to come up with. We have funds available.
That 7,000 you're talking about, I was told that workman's comp's a federal thing. They go by fiscal year, not calendar year. And they're projecting a $7,000 increase to complete the rest of this year?
By 1 October, or by 29, or 30 September?
Probably, yeah.
30 September is the close.
And then, I don't know what it's gonna be next year.
Did you ever get a quote from,
I don't know, you set those rates?
well, you can go to different carriers, and the town of Atlanta switched, and I sent out a note on this before, but we saved a ton of money when we switched.
So it's carriers for workman's comp?
Yeah, I mean, you can get it from you can go to just Joe Blow
And that's
Insurance
something
and
that
get
you ought to look
workman's
into.
comp. So we went through a thing with the state, the town of Atlanta did about,
Morris, could you ask
About
Chris
5
to
years
send
ago.
us an explanation? Where I sit, just as the fire chief, there's two things. How did we get here? And how do we prevent from getting back here? Okay, because no fire chief can function in this type of a small budget and be told in the beginning of the year or first quarter, you're going to owe $7,000. That hurts. I don't care what business you run. I understand that we have to pay it, but we didn't lay out that battle plan. We can't have a $7,000 left to pay.
I don't think, and she didn't know anything about it either.
So I'm more, it's more, we need to understand it, because we don't. But we need to know how to prepare or prevent. I mean, those will be, because there are a few things. Part of that is, what claims you had in the previous year. Yeah, I remember that was injured, had a back injury, it was out for 2 months, we used it. That's gonna change, and yes, we understand that mailroom injury, mailroom workers are not as susceptible to injury as healthcare and firefighters, they're at more risk. So that does raise some of that. I just wanna make sure that I know, especially as we're looking at this rough draft, that is a moving target we need to have a handle on, so we don't get in the first quarter next year and say, you owe $5,000 or $7,000.
I think she does have a handle. She was told by the company supposedly a certain percentage, they're gonna work with her and tell her what percentage they think it's gonna increase from this year to next year, so she can have that for budget.
we switched to IPEP. That's who it was.
IPEP.
Yeah.
I don't know who we used. Do you guys have
Berkeley.
any?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you're going through a private carrier, when we switched to IPIP, that's when we still had the fire department, that's when we still had police department, police departments, workers' comp on cops hired and firemen. And,
That's fine.
well, no, I'm just saying though, we saved a huge amount of money when we went to IPIP.
Is it IPEP?
Yes.
Okay.
And this isn't a thing of pointing fingers or anything like that, so I just know that Chris said that in the workman's comp, it's because of like the part-time people that we have too.
Oh, yeah, we
So now instead of doing it quarterly, they want it, what was it? Yearly now, so it's like one big chunk all.
Well, but they do an audit, what they do.
That's what Chris,
But they
explain it to us.
Yeah.
But the other
That's
part,
gonna help with the preparations.
but the other part of
You
that,
wanna handle that with her? You wanna talk to her about that?
You wanna do that, or?
Well, you're the president of the board.
How about this, sir? Can you get the explanation?
Also, the township's representative.
Can we talk about the team, because we're on the same thing?
Yeah.
Can you ask about the explanation, and you work with shopping? Sorry, that's finding a competitor.
Robin's got their contact info, if you get ahold of them.
That will help us, again, like you said, this draft,
It may save you some money.
can't have this type of thing.
well, it's
Oh,
not,
I understand.
it's not just workman's comp,
No
because
alarms.
last year she told us that we were $6,000 short in insurance, so we had to carry money over out of our budget this year for insurance that went up. And I mean, this is 2 years in a row this has happened.
No, the insurance, I'll tell you right now, the insurance, you never know what it's going, because the insurance companies right now are waiting on the federal government to make a determination on what Obamacare is going to be and what the increases are in the insurance. And the insurance company's sitting there waiting on it going, we don't know what to tell you. We can guess, and it literally is a guess because they don't know. The federal government makes up the rules as they go along. So,
Let's go back to the budget. To my understanding, and what I know about the budget, the way it works, once a budget has been approved by the township, and DLG has approved the budget for the township,
Once we get that.
monies that we have in there are monies we're gonna be operating on
Right.
for that rest of the year until we start getting under budget money in. So,
we need to get
our
our
deal is,
DOT first.
I deal with, we have $8,000 in that budget to pay a part-time salary. I don't see anybody taking that money away from us at this point. All we have to do is do it strategically and ask Chris if we can use Audra on those times when we have meetings to have her here as
Depends on when we want to do our meetings. Fred Farley asked that we do them in the evenings, or late afternoon after 4 or something.
I don't have,
Doesn't matter to me.
but when we work on, what's our next meeting dates, so we don't forget, and the time of the meeting, what do we want to agree to in the meeting?
I'm pretty flexible on time.
I am too.
My issue's gonna, and Chief White, these guys' issue's gonna be all dates that we can be there together. Or at least one of you there. I know it's nice to have both of you there, but work every other day.
Now, we don't need another meeting for April.
Unless you're going to approve claims.
You wanna start approving claims in April, Johnny?
You want it, or you just want to wait until May, give Chris the opportunity to get everything together, get some dates lined up.
We talked about doing like a middle of the month meeting to do claims, and then she can pay him. I don't know when she pays him currently. She pays him weekly.
Why don't we wait until Chris just gives us what we need?
Do you want to schedule something just in case we need it?
Is the 15th available to anybody?
I can't do it the 15th.
Well, whatever days you guys work out, I'm fine, I'm open.
April? Yeah. What days are available good for you guys in April?
Well, just get around budget, it'd be best if they both could be here. Maybe get into some budget discussion and things, it'd probably be best.
We might want to have, when it comes to budget stuff, we want to do like a
Special separate meeting.
yeah, maybe just have a budget hearing or something, just a workshop. That's what they call them, workshops. We could do a, I'm going to do it during the, on Saturday or something. I don't know, whatever works out.
That's good, that's good before.
Because we're not going to make decisions, we're going to just talk about.
April 15th, tax day?
I got to work that day.
What day are you?
What's the 16th look for you guys?
I'm on duty.
17th?
That's a Friday, and that's why we do this.
I know.
We would both be. I mean, and the following week is FDIC.
Yeah, I'm out on FDIC. I didn't know if we wanted, if there was something we needed to approve, it'd be nice to have a meeting set up, so if something come up and say we need board approval, you could just, that might be the only thing we discuss.
Just can't be a Monday.
You do 16.
Yeah, I can do 16.
Yeah, 16.
What time do you guys want to do our meetings?
What time do it?
What'd be good for you, John? You're the one that works for the town and busy and all that.
I'm open anytime.
Now, Fred works till 5.
No, he gets on earlier than that.
4:30, I think. He said he asked
We
for 4.
want to meet at 5 o'clock, is that good, or is that too late?
That's fine with me.
5 o'clock on the
I
16th?
don't go to bed till 9 o'clock, so.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
5 o'clock on the 16th. Okay.
And then we'll pick the other dates. And I'll let the town here know when those dates are, so we can be sure it's on our calendar.
Yeah, we need to let Chris know too, so
Yeah, Chris needs to know, and we'll put it on our sign, Reggie, the dates.
Yeah, we can, as long as it's posted somewhere, we don't need to sign, we can do that. 5 o'clock, that'll be posted and advertised 48 hours before the meeting. Newspaper, so.
Do you have to do newspapers anymore? Or can you do,
I
I think they're getting rid of that.
Yeah, website. I think the township has a website. I think she puts it on the website, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think you can put it on Gateway too.
Your
Gateway.
Your meetings, advertising in the paper and within the county, both have to circulate in paper.
I think this is changing, you know.
It's only on your budget. Rob was just talking about that, she just came back from class.
Oh, for the budget.
Yeah, the budget can be advertised on your website, but as far as your meeting times, you have to give them to the paper. They advertise it for free. Supposed to be has to be within your county, and it's the one of highest circulation. We use the Times. All our media uses the Times. Yeah. 48 hours prior to the meeting, or violation of the door law. So we need to make sure that our rights are in that, because the others start to come in and hammer.
Do you want to do any more at the end of April, or do you want to move into May?
You want to pick one at the end of April, or?
I got 27, 28,
I think
30.
16th. I think 16th is fine for April, but May. You go ahead and pick the day in May you want to do.
You want to do the first week of May, middle of May, what do you want to do? I'm off the fifth, so.
Okay, 6, we would be together, that'd be a Wednesday.
Well, you wanna do it at 6, that way both of you can be here?
6 Mary's fine, I'll do
6
6.
and 5 o'clock?
That's fine with me.
Is that your furnace or is that rain?
That's the furnace, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was great, hit that metal roof a little bit ago, when it came on the other time, and it shut down, it's like it's.
Yeah.
This is where it's gonna be the,
Yeah, I think we're gonna hold our meetings here.
All our meetings will be here. In June, we'll probably need a couple meetings in June.
This meeting for May, being early would be good, and that way we can schedule, like you say, a workshop somewhere following after that to get to discussing the budget issues and that type of thing, so we can get that to the township somewhere, draft,
You know, we might wanna schedule
or something.
a workshop pretty soon after that.
I have, 2 reports that are due from FEMA,
Yeah.
but I will try to find time to start working on that budget so we can.
They're called desk audits, they're just doing a paper audit, kind of physically coming.
Right.
And then we're going to come to us.
Do you wanna leave it at that, or do you wanna?
We'll do June.
My June is
You're gone.
really full.
Well, I have a couple of things here. We hope that the 5-person board be in place. Not that we don't want you here, Jim, but it would be for
Sure.
presentation by the township, correct?
Yeah, we need to set a time on that.
Why don't we just leave it at these 2 meetings, and then divide it, maybe let 5 members or the other 2 members be appointed, be in place, and then we here too, as we start to go over
I
this.
think we were hoping to have that done by June 1st, weren't we?
Yeah.
We talked about that, trying to get it done by June 1st.
We could let you be in it, and then see, make sure it's there available too, try to get that, that's fine, Paul.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
I'll give an opportunity to.
I'm fine with that. Are you guys all right with that?
Yep.
Okay. I did have, the trustee did have a couple questions, being that she's kind of like leaving this. One of them was, before we start mowing grass this year, she wanted to determine, is the firefighters gonna mow the grass at the trustee's office and do some yard maintenance, or does she need to budget to hire somebody to do that?
I think we need to share the cost on cutting the grass.
Do you wanna hire somebody and share the cost to do that, or
Don't you already have somebody that does the cemeteries for the township?
we do? We just have to pay them more money to do that.
Township with the Terry Home, on the tractor.
The lawnmower. Well, the township bought it years ago. I mean, it's owned by the township, the mowers and trimmers and all that is bought by the
The
township.
township continues to maintain equipment, I don't know if folks can help out with that.
Okay, you okay
But
with that?
I would ask this, okay, we'll do our best to maintain the schedule, okay? But if there's any special requests, we'd like to run through the chain of command, not absolutely the firefighter. Because,
Well, and I'm trying to separate all this.
Right.
if there's tree limbs and we didn't pick them up, and they need to be picked up, and they're out of the sight of the firefighters, one of us can relay that, we will. Absolutely. Get the limbs, that's all I ask. Now, I'm speaking over you. My recommendation is that the township maintains their equipment, because right now, we're gonna pull a tractor, lawnmower, and a trimmer out of the storage barn. Typically, I ask the guys to give the once over, change the oil, check the plugs. We'll do labor, the parts and oil and stuff, now, if we have to send it out, that's one of those things that.
Well, I tell you
They
what,
take care of the equipment. Now, but I want to know what the other board members think about that, because it is an issue, and
I just want to make it convenient to the firefighters. I don't want, if we have it, we keep it standardized. If you're saying you're willing to do that, firefighter, style cut grass.
we have a member that mows the other fire station as well, and there's no cost to us. That's true. Now, when he does, we do. Well, he's gone, we mow it. I was under the
so if
impression.
it needs mowed, you see it, it's mowed, or?
Fire
Yeah,
guys
Doug,
take care of their own.
he's got that camper, he goes camping, so when Doug leaves,
He just let you know you're gonna have to mow.
we mow, when we mow the park, we mow the fire
Wait,
station.
just driving a mower takes you what, 10, 15 minutes to mow?
That,
Or 30 seconds?
no, 4 minutes. If we don't weed eat, if we have weed eat, it takes a little longer, but.
I just wanted to bring that out so we can get it, and I can tell her that if something needs to be be done, she needs to either run it through Maurice or Chief White.
I have no,
Or Jason, I mean, whatever.
I have no objections that she goes to Jason or goes to the chief.
And you guys will change the oil, sharpen the blades, and if we need to buy anything, the township will pay for all
We
materials.
blow a belt, and it's very particular, it's beyond our scope.
Yeah, whereas, hey, we need to fix this, you get into whatever road you want, I mean, yeah, run it to Nobles over that Campbell's,
I keep it local, but that's just me, I mean.
Okay, well, I thought I'd bring that up because, you know what, this time of year, we may be mowing grass next week.
Yeah, that's right.
It's starting to green up a little bit. I hate to say it, folks, with all this rain and heat. But I thought I'd bring that up.
Good question.
So it was just some stuff that she had on the burner, and she's like, I want to know this, but she says, I don't want to go ask for it. She goes, would you relay that to him? And I said, we will work something out.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure there'll be other things that come up, and I will filter them from her to us
That'll be fine.
to try to keep things. Sometimes it just needs to be rephrased.
Yes. So let me go ahead before we adjourn. I want to do a summary here. I've asked the chief and the deputy chief to come together, make sure we have a good structured chain of command that's well established and already in a kind of a paragon type.
You want an organizational flow chart.
I want an organization culture. And a note to all the, once that's done, a note to the firefighters that it's a chain of command that will be used. All part-time and full-time employees. The other part is, you'll keep us up to date, Jason, on the grant money and where we're at, whether FEMA's going to agree to it or not. We've already agreed that, with that list that we'll get for the firefighters that are eligible, that the board's already approved that simultaneous agreement to their checks, their criminal checks and all that stuff, and their physicals.
And safety.
And the safety board, of course. Okay, we talked about the storage containers that we talked about. If we find an agency somewhere that has good storage containers, if they want to donate them, you know, get a tax write-off, and they're in good shape, it's good for us. But as this young man over here, Andy, he suggests maybe up north, or they're cheaper up there up north.
Yeah, I'll find a place.
But I think it's a good idea, the water pipe, but you have no problem setting it up down the water pipe.
Discuss what the options are.
Yeah.
Can do.
Exactly, what's the line approach? And Jason made a comment about that probably sets a precedence for the rest of the county for training. If we decide to combine training, we can charge for any cost to operate the container. We agreed that we need to have the 2 meetings coming up. We also agreed that the time of 5 o'clock is good for everybody. And then I'm going to go ahead and send Chris, I'll send Chris an email using Audra to,
The minutes, are you going to have Audra do these minutes? Or are you going to just?
we'd like to have Audra do the.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll take that, download that, and I'll send the audio.
Okay.
Type them up.
Hi, Audra.
And send them. Yeah. That's something already, you know, I don't think she'll have a problem. I mean, she was saying minutes at the meetings, and sure, that's fine.
We discussed a lot of issues today. I think we can complete a lot of issues. We just go ahead and move forward. Is there anything else I forgot?
Crown Vic.
And the Crown Vic itself, for eBay,
Put it at the county first.
there's no county members that want it. And we want at least $3,000 from them. Then we'll put it on eBay with a reserve of $2,000, at no less than $2,000.
And the chiefs are going to research ambulances and.
For the first time in my career, I'm going to go to FDIC and look at areas.
Okay.
Don't go like
Where anything else? Any of us in Germany?
Yeah, we need to figure it out. Steve will look into some of that before we go to the attorney to try to save some money.
Okay, that's what
Water,
sorry,
everything what to do with their EMS.
Okay. Yeah,
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second it.